Hey guys, it's Jackie, and today we'll be talking about Pretty Little Liars Season 6, Episode 9, Last Dance. I actually really enjoyed this episode a lot. I think it was really fun to watch. Again, no answers in this episode, but that is totally what I was expecting. We are not going to get any answers until the finale next week. I knew that going into this. I don't know why Marlene decided to call this Summer of Answers, because so far we've watched 9 episodes out of 10 and there are no answers. So, the episode of answers. Granted, we did find more about Charles this summer and stuff like that, but so far we really don't have any answers to our old questions, like, who killed who so-and-so is, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. So, for the most part, this summer has answered new questions, but not old ones. For something called the Summer of Answers, I am extremely underwhelmed by the answers we've gotten so far. And hopefully next week we find out lots of stuff. I am excited for next week, just also nervous because I'm scared about how they're going to pull it all off in 1 hour-long episode. It's like 45 minutes when you take out the commercials. And they have to tell us who Charles is, who Redcoat is, who Black Widow is, tell us who hit Allison, who hit Bethany, who killed Marion Kavanaugh. I think that's everything they promised to answer. I don't think I forgot anything. And there's even more questions that aren't going to be answered next week, apparently. So, and then I have to introduce the time jump. It just makes me nervous. I think maybe I'll do another video later talking about what I'm expecting from the finale or how I'm feeling about it, but that's a whole other story. We'll just stick to this episode for now, which, like I said, I actually did enjoy it. Even though there really were no answers, it was a nice setup, and I enjoyed it, and I was entertained watching it, which is more than I can say for several episodes this summer, so, that's good. First of all, I loved the moms in this episode. I expected to be for it to be okay seeing the moms to bond. I was like, yeah, I guess that would be pretty cool, but it's no answers. But then I watched it and it was so hilarious to me to see the moms drinking in the Hastings kitchen, and oh my god, drunk Veronica Hastings is my new favorite thing. She was hilarious. I loved her so much. And it was just so funny watching them. And basically the moms were doing what their daughters do every episode. And each mom was kind of acting like her daughter a little bit. And it was just so amusing to me. I enjoyed that. Some people are saying, we should just make season 7, entirely about the moms now. And I really enjoyed that. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else about it. Hold on. Let me think. Okay, I lost it now, but if it comes back to me, I'll tell you. I was gonna say something else about their thing. Okay, so when they get to the house, Reese is there. The guy from the Karasimi group who kind of looks like Christian Grey. And he said, oh, I was looking for Mr. De Laurentiis to talk about the Karasimi group. I'll come back later. And that was just so weird to me. Okay, so first of all, you're gonna show up at his house, in the middle of the night, at 10 o'clock or 11 or whatever time it was, late, when you don't really show up to someone's house to talk about business. And, you just waltz right in, start looking around the house, and, it's weird. Do we think this guy is working for Charles or not? After another revelation, we got one answer this episode. One. And I really enjoyed that, but we'll talk about that later. So that was just really weird, hello, manners, just invite yourself in. I don't know. When I saw that, I kind of had a feeling that Mr. D wasn't alive. Did anyone else get that feeling? I thought, the moms were gonna find him, dead in the basement or something. I have a bad feeling. I don't think it looks good for Kenneth right now. I don't know. Does anyone else get that feeling? I mean, Allison might be orphaned pretty soon, if you ask me. I feel like he's in deep trouble. I don't know about you. Okay, and the Spoby in this episode, when they were dancing and Spencer tells him that she wrote her valedictorian speech about him. That was so sweet. I like curled up on the floor and like just had a little fangirl attack because that was amazing. And honestly, they better not be broken up after this time jump now because they are so perfect for each other and just adorable. And if they are not together after this time jump, I'm going to be so, so sad. I'm like really hoping they stay together now because they're just perfect. I mean, back in the second half of season 5, I would have been totally fine with them deciding to take a break. But now that they're back to their old selves, like the Spoby I know and love, just the thought of them being broken up and like seeing other people, it makes me really, really sad. Like, I really want them to stay together because, you know, OTP. I was gonna wear my Spoby shirt last night, but I decided to save it for the finale, so that's what I'll be wearing in my live reaction next week. And the Scrabble necklace, too. I'm just gonna be all decked out in my PLL gear. Yeah. I also really liked the Caleb in this episode. When the episode started, I was really worried about Hannah and Caleb. Like, I knew they had made up, but Caleb was just being so distant, and I thought that seemed like not a good sign for them. I was starting to think that Hannah and Caleb were going to be broken up after the time jump, actually. And I was actually starting to get worried, like, because while the chance that Caleb is Charles was very, very small, seeing him acting so shady right before the reveal made me really scared. And let me tell you, if Caleb was Charles, I, for one, would riot because I love Caleb and I ship Caleb. So if Caleb ended up being bad, I would be really mad. But then all turned out really well because we found out that Caleb was actually getting a job in New York. And he is going to move there with Hannah so they can start their lives together and fulfill Hannah's dreams. And that was so sweet. Aw, love Caleb. That was adorable. And so I'm not as worried about them anymore. Maybe they'll get married after the time jump, as I originally thought, because, I mean, I think even Marlene said that Hannah was probably the one who would get married first, so I guess I'm still predicting Caleb wedding after the time jump. I don't know about you guys. I won't be on board. Caleb wedding. If it was Caleb wedding and Spoby wedding, that would make like all my dreams come true. Because out of the main couples, I like the two of them the most. Yeah, I'm really starting to wonder who will be together post time jump. I definitely think now that Arya and Ezra will not be together since Arya is going to go to LA and Ezra will be with Habitat for Humanity in Thailand. Plus, they're not together right now anyways, so I feel like when the time jump picks up, they'll probably see each other again for the first time in years, and then, you know, the pining for each other will continue. I don't think they're going to be together, and, I hope Emily and Sarah aren't still together after the time jump, but I have a bad feeling they might be, since Sarah is apparently coming back. Unless Sarah ends up actually being bad, which I also think could be possible. I mean, anyone else think she was acting shady this episode? Speaking of Sarah, like, to move on to the next point, her behavior was just weird to me in this episode. Like, well, first of all, how did she get into this prom? Because we know from the red coat, black hoodie scene, you need a ticket. So how did Sarah, like, get in the door? I mean, I would think to get into a prom, you have to get the tickets, like, you know, be a student to get the tickets, or, you know, something like that. So how did she get this ticket? You know, Emily didn't give her one. We didn't see Emily give Sarah a ticket. So how'd she get that ticket to get in? That's kind of weird. Did she get one because she's Redcoat and Redcoat had tickets somehow? I don't know. I mean, I know the odds of Sarah being Bethany at this point are very, very small, but I still wish it could turn out that way because if we find out that the show brought back Sarah when they could have brought back Bethany, as I've said many times before, that would upset me because Bethany is so much more important to this plot than Sarah. Sarah had no relevance until the beginning of the summer. Like, she was a stock photo, and Marlene said that she wasn't important, so it just bothers me that they brought her back, and even though I know it's probably not going to happen, part of me still wants us to find out next week that she's Bethany. Like, that would just be amazing. But, and also, she says to Emily, no matter what happens, no, I care about you. And I kind of was wondering, what's that supposed to mean? Like, it just seems like a really weird thing for her to say. Like, what does she mean, no matter what happens? Is she expecting something to happen? So that was really weird to me. I still am suspicious of her. I'm always going to be suspicious of Sarah. Like, I don't buy her story. I just feel like she's totally lying. I don't trust her at all. So, I mean, like I said, I know the odds of her being Bethany are probably very slim, but doesn't mean I trust her, I think there's something so weird about her. I don't like her, and I don't like her with Emily. I would rather Emily be with pretty much anyone else. Sorry. And I do not think Ezra is Charles. Let me make that clear. I don't think Ezra is Charles. I just don't think it makes sense, and I don't think they're going to make one of the love interests Charles. But I got kind of nervous because, okay, so when Lorenzo shows up to the prom, I think it's Toby who says, okay, Hannah and Caleb, they're looking for Allie in the coat check. All right, okay. Aria's looking in the bathrooms. Okay, but where's Ezra? He's the only one who is unaccounted for in that moment. I thought that was kind of weird. Like, okay, so Spencer, Toby, Emily were there with Lorenzo. Hannah and Caleb were in the coat check. Aria's in the bathrooms. Where did Ezra go to? And also, where did Sarah disappear to after her and Emily stopped dancing together? Like, where'd she go? I'm a little confused on that. Like, they just disappeared. And I do not think Ezra is Charles, nor do I really want Ezra to be Charles, because it doesn't make sense to me. But I just thought it was weird. Like, maybe it's nothing, but I noticed that, and I immediately thought when that happened, I was like, so where's Ezra then? I think, though, wasn't Ezra back with the group when they confronted Clark? I think he was. Wasn't he? So that was just weird to me. Like, where did Ezra go for that period of time? And where did Sarah go to? That was weird. They were unaccounted for, and I'm suspicious. Hopefully, though, Ezra is not Charles, because that would bother me. Like, it just wouldn't make sense, given what we know about Ezra to me. So that would just come off as, like, lazy writing to me. Plus, Ezra has been A before. Like, we all thought he was A in season 4. So that would just be, like, deja vu and, like, just not interesting. Now, go back to Clark. I was very surprised to find out that Clark was a cop. I knew it when I saw his gun, but before that, I had no idea that he was a cop. To be honest, I kind of thought that he and Reese were gay lovers, TBH. So I was like, wow, he's a cop. I did not see that coming. That was a pleasant surprise. I enjoyed that twist of events very much. I don't think that's a saying, but whatever. I just made it one. I guess it's like turn of events, but I said twist, and then I started to say turn of events, so it became twist of events. Yeah. Okay, so I enjoyed that part. I did not see that coming, and that was interesting to me. I was going to say something else about Clark. Oh, yes. I remember. So if Clark is a cop, does that mean Reese is also a cop? That's an interesting question, because we saw them meeting up in that abandoned doll factory, whatever it was. The doll place. So does that mean that Reese is a cop? Is Reese, like, cooperating with the police to help catch Charles? Is he a suspect in Clark's eyes? That is an interesting question that now comes out since we know Clark is a police officer. And this is backtracking a little bit in the conversation, but this is the next thing I wrote down. I think Mama Fields might have been onto something when she brought up the point that Charles may not necessarily have been the one to kill Mrs. D. Now, I'm not saying I think Kenneth did it. I'm not saying that, because I don't really think he did, but I think she brings up an interesting point. Now, I don't think that every murder on this show was committed by Charles. I don't think he killed everyone. Like, I don't think he killed Ian and Garrett and Mrs. D and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I think that you can't blame Charles for everything. And I feel like, Charles is not the answer to every question. And I'm a firm believer there has to be an Uber A after the time jump. And because, you know, don't get me wrong, there would be nothing wrong with seeing the girls after college growing up and living their lives and getting married and having kids and going through adult problems. Like, yeah, that's interesting, sure, in its own way. It's just not, it feels like a different show. Like, that's more One Tree Hill than Pretty Little Liars, which is a show I'm currently binging on Netflix, and I really like it. I'm on season 2. Sidebar. It would feel like a totally different show to me. I feel like for the show to be Pretty Little Liars, there has to be an A. So that's why I feel like there has to be an Uber A after this time jump, because to me, if there wasn't an A in the show to create conflict, it would just feel like a different show, because A is the main plot point. So that's just my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I'm really interested in what the girls are going to do as adults and, like, you know, who they'll marry, the kids they'll have, stuff like that, but that's something I'd want to read, like, in a fan fiction, not watch on the show for a 22-episode season, if you guys get what I'm saying, you know. So, that's why I feel like there has to be an Uber A, and someone who's above Charles and will be back to terrorize the girls post-time jump. And final thing to discuss in this video, Allie's reaction when Charles reveals himself to her at the end. Now, Allison, I believe what she says is, "Oh my God, it's you." And some people were like, "Oh, well then Ren can't be Charles because Allison doesn't know him." I say that's not true. Look, as far as we know, Allison and Ren do not have some detailed backstory. He was not in Rosewood, as far as we know, before the pilot present day. So that makes him available to be Charles. But perhaps he and Allison could have crossed paths at some point and we don't know. Allison was watching the girls. She could have seen Ren. She might know who Ren is. I think it would be a little far-fetched if she's, like, never heard of him ever or never seen him. So I feel like if she saw him, she would recognize Ren, at least somewhat. And I feel like Allison's reaction wasn't one of complete and utter betrayal. It's not like she went, "Oh my God, it's you. You did this to me." She went, "Oh my God." Like, she was surprised, but not super betrayed. I kind of feel like it's not someone who Allison really trusted or was, like, best friends with or whatever. Maybe someone suspicious she's encountered or someone she's seen before, but that she doesn't trust. Because I don't feel like she sounded super, super shocked and hurt and betrayed or anything by what she said. And I mean, I know Allison is according to Marlene, the first person who finds out who Charles is, yeah. But was it from the promo pics Mona wearing the same costume? How do we know that the person who grabbed her wasn't Mona? Just saying. I mean, is that possible? And so yeah, that's it, I think. I'll do another video just talking about finale stuff, maybe tomorrow or Friday, so look out for that. There will be a lot of videos coming your way before the finale and after, because I'm, as cautious as I am really excited for it, and so that means lots of videos. Don't think I forgot anything. As always, tell me if I did. I'm only one person, I can only remember so much. PLL is very complicated. And that's it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel if you want. We're almost at 400, which is super awesome. Thank you guys so much. I love you all. Mwah. Kisses. And I'll see you very, very soon to talk about PLL some more before we come face to face with A. Cough, cough, Ren. Cough, cough. Alright, guys. Love you. See you soon.